Welcome back. This is Duo Heptism of the 16-Bit Couple with another episode of the Indie Showcase. Today we are speaking with Karina from Crashwave Games about their game Iron Tides. Welcome to the show, Karina.
Hi, Duo. Thanks for having me.
All right. We actually got in touch with you through it was the TIGS forums, correct?
That is correct. It's a great place for developers to come and put their games out there for others to see. It's a great place for us to meet and connect with streamers and other developers who go through the same thing that we do.
Yeah, and it's definitely posted on there about doing the indie showcase, and it's easy to contact other developers and you get to see what the indie development community is really getting into, what's becoming popular, what's new, and what's really cutting edge.
Absolutely, I agree. There's a lot of great stuff coming out, and I feel inspired every time I'm there.
Oh, definitely.
Right? It's just
You feel so much better about gaming because there's so many interesting ideas out there. Like your game, Iron Tides, it's definitely an interesting game. Being a Viking-based game. Can you tell us about how the game came to be? What was the concept behind it?
Oh yeah, it's a really interesting story. So my co-founder Sam Rasky and we based the game off a paper prototype.
Okay.
So initially what we did, we grabbed some dice, we cut out some paper, and we started playing around with the concept of a battle system that would soon later become the Iron Tides.
Okay.
With this paper prototype, we started taking this to board game stores. We started experimenting with other players, meeting new people, and eventually we decided it was time.
Yeah.
So we brought it to digital.
All right. It's definitely it definitely it seems to be a game that has a lot of things to do with the old pen and paper type games, the D&D, and the turn-based. It's I'm seeing from the screenshots and everything, it definitely seems like it's a turn-based game.
Hmm.
Okay. So is it going whenever the game releases? Is it going to be have a multiplayer feature, a storyline feature?
At the current moment, it is a roguelite opportunity. It's a story of you being a Viking chieftain, and you basically have to keep your war band alive.
Okay.
So we will have a base in which
Okay.
that you depart from, and then you go into your seas, you're exploring. Eventually, you engage in a series of raid after raid. In search of quest items, loot, perhaps as a boss. I can't reveal too much yet, but
Yeah,
this is the
understandable.
direction we're going.
Yeah, definitely. And the graphics look absolutely beautiful. They really stand out graphics. Um,
Thank
from your Twitter, I have up right now and looking through, are we going to see a lot of different character types? Or is it at the beginning it's going to be like a core group, or is it something that's going to constantly be expanding?
It's something that we're going to cap at, I think, 6 to 7 different Vikings,
Okay.
depending on how our future campaign works. But what's going to be more unique about these characters, you'll have a roster of abilities to choose.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take a look at our press page right now. Every Viking, as per se, every warrior has 4 abilities they can use in
Okay.
battle, but we actually are going to expand that to about 6 or 7 as well.
Oh, awesome. That's definitely
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I'm going through like a lot of your press stuff and your Twitter because I see you're very active on the Twitter and showing a lot of screenshots and gameplay footage that is really, really interesting.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we put a lot of thought into how we want to engage with the player. You, the backer, the player. Um, we really, really want to craft that experience of you are a ruthless Viking chieftain, and you are taking this crew because it is your sacred right. It is
Mm-hmm.
your destiny per se, your destiny to raid the seas. We come across an enemy called the Scourge, and they came into this Viking
Mm-hmm.
Norhaven mysteriously through a storm, and we don't know much about them just yet. So they are plaguing the inhabitants of these ruins, and it's up to you to, while you're raiding, you might as well kill some scourge as well. Why not?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's definitely seems to be a very well thought out game. The play mechanics, from what I'm seeing in the videos and stuff, are very, very smooth from everything I've seen. I am seeing a lot of your stuff. You have that Kickstarter coming out the 28th.
Yes.
Um, I definitely am excited to see how that's going and how that will be going because I definitely will be one of the ones backing it because it looks like a beautiful, beautiful game.
Oh, thank you, Gio. That makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah, and it's definitely and we kind of scheduled this episode so that it was close to your Kickstarter, so you guys can get the word out a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. One of the things I'm looking at about the units that you guys have published already, can you tell me, like, is there a limit to how many you have? Are they generated at your base?
Hmm.
What about the play mechanics or something that's similar that we've seen to other games before? And what are some things that make it more of a standout?
Sure, yeah. So one of the biggest things that make us different here is that you never know when you might get a Viking.
Okay.
Typically, you will be able to recruit them from a list of new warriors in your base,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes while you're questing about the seas, you will come across an opportunity to bring another Viking onto your ship. Perhaps he's being held as a prisoner, perhaps it's an objective. He will be there, or she, actually, sorry, I should say, he or she will be there.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that we're going to add that will make this very interesting is that your ship's hold can only at most carry 6 Vikings.
Okay.
So if you are sailing about the seas and you do come across a stranded Viking lost at sea or prisoner, you'll have to
Mm-hmm.
make that very critical choice of which Viking, whose life is worth more. Who do I
Yeah.
toss out?
Yeah. Okay. That's definitely an interesting thing because a lot of turn-based strategy and real-time strategy games, I mean, you have like, oh, I can just craft more whenever.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so it's definitely adds that level of strategy to it where you go, well, I don't know when I'm going to get my next character, so I really want to be as well, the word I'm looking for is more reserved with my fighting. Just
Yeah,
don't just
conservative,
rush
perhaps.
it into all fights and just if everyone dies, everyone dies. I can just make new. You really have to
Mhm.
think on that. That's a really cool way of adding more strategy to these games.
Thank you. And especially when we think about our Vikings as unique characters that have up to 7 unique skills,
Mm-hmm.
if you spend the time crafting your Viking to suit your playstyle, you don't want to lose that Viking. You don't want to toss him overboard, but maybe by chance you'll find a better Viking, and that can really create this. Well, you were just too weak to be stay on board. You
Yes,
just sorry, guy,
that that
sorry.
that little bit of savageness that is that you would think of with the Vikings.
It comes with the territory of being a chieftain. Yes.
Yes. I'm seeing in a lot of your screenshots the like play fields, like certain ones have like different levels. Do the
Mhm.
different levels of the play field affect like attacks or defense?
Yeah, so we haven't uploaded too many photos to our press right now that showcase our newest uh, levels.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these levels will be procedurally generated, so
Okay.
every battle you enter will be slightly different from the next. We have a height variation system as well, so if you look at our press kit, we have some levels that look like bridges where you only have a set amount of paces that you can move, and it's
Yes.
kind of crammed and tight. Then we have some more open world levels that are just an 8 by 16 grid, but we're going to add height as a new varying factor that give you an advantage or a disadvantage while you're in the field. So really critically thinking your moves before you run in there, that'll be key.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you have it definitely is a whole nother level of strategy and getting that to it. It definitely is something that's not seen very often in these turn-based games. I'm thinking
Agree.
of a lot of the turn-based games I've played before. You're in a flat playing field. Every
Hmm.
every playing field looks exactly the same. You're
Hmm.
attacking the exact same thing. So the variation definitely adds a lot more interest to it, at least in my mind.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing for us as playtesters to work around. We have some interesting mechanics on top of the different characters. You asked about unique characters, and I can get back into that in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But we have, blocking mechanics, we have a fury resource system, we have a whole plethora of skills and resources that really bring this turn-based experience to a whole new level.
Yeah, it definitely is something that I can see that it looks like the engine and the underground laying out system was really well thought out before you guys even got into the programming, because you guys did the paper prototyping and all that. You really figured out the engine before you even put in a word of code, and you can tell by how well thought out and how well the system actually does work that you guys did that.
Thank you, Dio. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, and we were saying about the different types of characters. I'm seeing a couple different ones on your pages. What can you tell us about those different characters?
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to have a mix of genders. So
Mm-hmm.
we want to have that strong female character available as well. So the four characters that we have right now is a Vanguard, a Berserker, a Valkyrie, and a Huntress.
Okay.
And now all these characters operate very differently. They work very well together, though. I mean, not I
Mm-hmm.
haven't played a game where I can beat any level with just one Viking. Although one of our interns managed to defeat one level with one Berserker, I'm sure that's entirely possible, but it takes a lot of tactics, a lot of
Yeah,
planning,
a lot of time.
a lot of time. But the okay, I'll go through them quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The Vanguard, he's more like the leader, and so this guy he can switch in from an aggressive to a defensive role.
Okay.
Uh, he stands. He can stand in the back, and he can also issue commands to different Vikings. And what that basically means is if your Viking has depleted all of their resources,
Mm-hmm.
the Vanguard can command them to attack again. So he's very much a leader who is in the forefront of the field,
Okay.
yelling at his crew, telling them attack again, and then he's there hitting people, killing them. He's healing.
Okay.
He's really a great all around character. We have our Berserker, who is this very ferocious character, and he has AoE attacks. He can throw an axe. He's very diverse in what he can do. So
Yes.
he's just purely meant for attacking and going insane, like going full fury, full rage. Then we have our Valkyrie, and she's a very nimble, agile character who can leap in and out of battle. She can also heal. She deals a ton of damage if you use her right. And then we have our Huntress, the last character, and she's just strictly a ranged character.
Okay.
So she likes to stay in the back, and she likes to kind of poke her head out, take a quick shot, go back into safety, convert safely, heal. She likes to mark people, and she can
Mm-hmm.
do tons of damage with critical hits.
Okay, definitely a nice range of characters. Are we going to see a lot, any more characters come out, or is it like when with the Kickstarter and the initial release will just be those four main types?
For our Kickstarter, we're going to start with the four characters, but
Okay,
again, at the end of our production cycle, we'd like to have at least six.
okay,
We'd like to actually open it up to our backers to
all right.
start working with us to see who the next character could be.
Oh, definitely, and that I can definitely see how that would really add that another layer of the backers really interacting with the game and affecting the outcome of the game.
I sure hope so.
Okay. I am seeing in a lot of these screenshots the characters have the hit points and the health gauges. Are those something that's automatically filled after each battle, or is this something that's another layer of strategy and management that you have to think that like you have to remember to heal your Vikings after battles?
hmm The Vikings will. We have a really unique system here. As you're sailing about the seas, we have
Mm-hmm.
a stamina bar that depletes, that goes down as you sail about. I mean, sailing costs you food.
Yes.
Every day that you're sailing out at sea, you will get hungry. And if your Vikings get too hungry, if you start to starve your Vikings, they will be less effective in battle. So
Okay.
that's the only thing that affects their health right now. If you win your battle, you are automatically put up to 100% health
Okay.
again. But if you starve, you're starving to see, you're starving to death. That's going to affect how you play
All right, and
in battle.
that's perfectly understandable. You don't want to starve your Vikings because they won't be able to fight.
Exactly. But you could also throw them overboard if they become a burden. So options.
Yes, and that whole layer of management outside of the actual battle, which is definitely something that's not seen in very many games. Many of these games that I've seen are just focuses purely on the battle, not the
Mhm,
management side of things. And it's nice to
mhm.
see a game that has what seems to be a very nice balance between the two.
Thank you. We really wanted to bring the player into that mindset of you are a chieftain through and through. You don't stop being a chieftain when you're sailing. You are there from the very beginning, from building your base to sailing to battling. You are with this crew for the entirety of your journey.
All right, it's definitely a beautiful thing. What platforms will it be released on? Is it something that's going to be computer only, or is this something that may eventually get into mobile?
Right now, we're looking at PC, Mac, and Linux.
Okay,
Eventually, in the future, I can't say too much about it, but we are looking towards mobile too. It
okay,
runs quite well on like a tablet or a cell phone, but we're focusing on PC right now.
okay. It's definitely understandable. You want to perfect one platform before going on to many platforms. You see many Kickstarters are like, we're going to release on everything. And you never, and a lot of times those releases, yeah, they hit the release on everything, but sometimes certain platforms releases are not up to par. And I can definitely understand wanting to focus on the PC first.
Agreed. I mean, I feel as an independent developer, and I see it all
Hmm.
the time too. It's just like let's just try all the things. But I personally, as a gamer myself, a hardcore gamer, I would prefer to see quality on one platform than subpar quality on multiple platforms. And
Definitely.
it's not to say that we can't reach and go for different platforms, but for now, for our first game as a studio, I'd like us to really give it our all and make sure this is the best presented game that we can make.
Yeah, it's definitely shaping up from all the stuff I've seen. Definitely a beautiful looking game, very well thought out. Do you have any closing thoughts? When is the Kickstarter starting? Mm,
Yes. So we are due for launch on September 28th.
okay.
It'll run until November 1st. We're hosting a whole bunch of really unique rewards in our Kickstarter, including cookies, if you like cookies.
Cookies are
Um,
always awesome.
Cookies are really fantastic. I taste tested a cookie a couple weeks ago, and it was delicious. Have to say. We're going to add a new bonus to our Kickstarter as a digital reward. The original prototype that we
Okay.
used to make this game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the original prototype. It's with interchangeable boards and everything. We'll have the characters available for you to print out, plus like a character stat sheet. We're also
Awesome.
giving away dice as well. So if you want to get the paper prototype, you get some dice with your prototype. Um, yes, and we have like sheet music too. So if you are interested in the original soundtrack, that's something that we're giving away as well.
So that is definitely something that is very interesting. I can definitely see how it would be a lot of very cool things that you guys are offering that are not really seen very often in these types of Kickstarter programs.
Thank you. Yeah, we spent a lot of time working to this moment. It's been about 12 months in development for just the two of us. We do have contributors coming in every once in a while, and
Hmm.
that's been such a load off. And it's really great to see the community come together and support us in this way. Um, yeah, it's been so much fun so far.
Definitely looking forward to the Kickstarter and the release. Definitely loving that you guys are showing the Mac side of things some love with it being an intended release platform. We are primarily Mac gamers and console gamers, so it's great seeing more options out there on the Mac side.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that'll be it for today's Indie Showcase. This has been Duo Haptism with Karina from Crashwave Games about Iron Tides. It's been
Yay!
great talking with you, Karina,
Thank you so much for having me.
and thanks for talking with us. Have a great day.
Thanks.